complete a video game. That's actually a bit of a subjective take since it can mean different things for different people. For some it might simply mean beating the final boss, for others completing it on the highest difficulty. Hell, some might not even consider beating the game unless it's completed 100%. It's an interesting debate that really doesn't have a wrong answer outside of maybe cheating or something like that. But during the 7th generation they actually added a new element I fueled the discussion even further: trophies and achievements. Well, it's actually gotten a bit of controversy over the years, and as a former trophy hunter myself, I figured it'd be fun to take a look back and view the pros and cons of this element that's supposed to be completely objectional. Optional. You know what? Fuck that, I'm using this one. So, obviously the concept of trophies and achievements aren't really new. Even by 2007-2008, plenty of games had a checklist of stuff to do and complete under certain requirements. A prime example of this would be the Sonic Adventure series, with its different missions and A-rank requirements, and I'm sure I could find other examples of this dating back even further. The first time we would come to know trophies and achievements in the way we view them now, though, would be when Microsoft would implement the Gamerscore in 2005, which would shortly be expanded to Windows Live in 2007. This clearly took off as a good idea since Valve would also adapt this idea, and in 2008 Sony would also have their take on achievements, opting for trophies to stand out more, and is what I'll refer to them from here on out cause, well, it's the systems I own. So for the few uninformed, what exactly is a trophy or the trophy system? Well, it's an external checklist that unlocks trophies of 4 rankings: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, that will be linked to your profile, and the more you collect, the more your rank will go up. These trophies could range anywhere from being something as simple as completing a stage, unlocking your first ability, killing a certain amount of enemies, or it could be something more taxing such as completing the game on the highest difficulty, collecting all the collectibles. Hell, it can even be some weird ass requirement you never do intentionally or normally, like dying, or not moving for 5 minutes. Yeah, that's still one of my weirdest ones. My journey with trophies began around 2009, I believe. It was when I first got my first PS3, and the 3 games I got were Grand Theft Auto 4, cause of course, Sonic 06, cause of course, I'm a fucking idiot, as well as Army of Two from a local pawn shop. And outside of GTA 4, trophies weren't really a thing for me. But a week later or so, Resident Evil 5 had come out, and I had just really gotten into the series after playing the hell out of Umbrella Chronicles. Yeah, never say those 2 spin-offs can't get you into the series and up to date on its story while it's at it. So that was when I really noticed the idea of trophies, since Resident Evil 5 would give quite a bit of them just for completing levels and certain kills. Though I still didn't really care about collecting them yet, and I would move on to other games after I got my fill of this game, which admittedly took a while. I could not put RE5 down. But after a while, I noticed that I had a decent percentage of them collected so far, so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. I'm clearly enjoying this game too much and will probably try and do everything eventually, so might as well go for that platinum. And really, that's one of the great things about trophies. It can incentivize players to try and do everything a game has to offer, potentially giving you more value for your purchase since you'll get to experience more of the game instead of just playing it once to the end, or even if you do make it to the end of the game. Resident Evil 5 was probably smack dab in the middle for difficulty. They might have threw a bunch of them at you, but there were some that definitely took some time. Beating it on professional mode was hell, even with the Infinity Rocket Launcher since everything killed you in like one hit. And getting 30 wins for each play mode in Versus equaling to 120 wins was, oh man, that took forever. I even had a little tally sheet beside me so I could keep track of my wins. No wonder they reduced the amount of wins you needed in the remasters. But I pushed forward, and then the day finally came and I got my first platinum. And that feeling of accomplishment I had that day, it felt good. Some may say I only did it for bragging rights, which, I mean, to be fair, trophies and achievements are only what they're there for. For me though, I didn't care about what others thought. That platinum represented me conquering one of my favorite games of all time, and that was just the beginning. I wanted more. I needed more. I had an addiction, and that addiction led me to start the next game, Infamous. This was always a fun series to try and platinum, even despite the fact that you had to play through its lengthy campaign at least twice. Once for the hero karma, and the other for the evil karma. You had to play twice since a lot of trophies were linked to specific event choices, and powers you got based around karma. But it was such a blast gaining experience points, completing side missions and taking back control of the city from the gangs, or even just being on the hunt for all those blast shards. It was fun to 100% it even on its own right. So to have trophies reflect that, it was great. And that's really what I did for a few years. If I was really into a game, then I wanted to see and do everything I possibly could. And these trophies just helped fuel those experiences. After Infamous, I moved on to the Assassin's Creed series, Saints Row 3 and 4, Metal Gear Solid 3 and 4, Virtua Fighter 5, Sonic Generations. I even went after games like Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2, which were both time consuming. Like straight up, it took me like 120 hours each to get that platinum. But when I find a game that's fun to collect trophies for, I'm gonna go for it 100%. And after a couple years, it was really rewarding to see those platinums start to add up. Hell, there were some games I technically platinumed twice. At one point I did own an Xbox 360, and I did have Sonic Generations for it, where you could imagine I did get all the achievements for it. Well, I would end up selling the system since I didn't have much reason to own both consoles, so I ended up rebuying Generations for the PS3. Well, I was a trophy whore, so yeah, I did it again. I mean, I might as well. Generations was awesome. I even redid Infamous 1 and 2. Not for me, mind you, but for one of my closest friends as he was a trophy hunter too. And we trusted each other enough to share our PSN accounts so that we could download each other's games we bought digitally. So I got him the 2 platinums for those games, among a few others since he had issues with motion sickness and strobe effects. In return, he got me a few platinums for games I've never even touched. The Walking Dead. I still haven't even really watched the show, let alone play these games. So at the time, it seemed like this collection wasn't slowing down anytime soon. Hell, I even love the creativeness some of these titles of these achievements can have sometimes, where it had me laughing out loud when I read it. A couple ones that came to mind was the Goldfinger trophy from Heavy Rain. Being a James Bond film fan, especially the Connery era, that was a nice callback that I appreciated. But my absolute favorite trophy though, is Sloth Loves Chunk from Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. Anytime something references The Goonies, one of my favorite movies of all time, you automatically bump that game up a ranking point. No questions asked. Of course, though I did say that I'm a former trophy hunter. Though I didn't write them off entirely. If a game's fun to complete them for, then I'm gonna go and do so. Perfect example of this is the Resident Evil remakes that came out recently. Although I have alluded to them having controversy over this stuff, and in some regards, I can kinda see where the debate against them are coming from. Now I know what some of you may be thinking. How the hell is something that's an optional element to video games managing to piss off people, or giving them a reason to have a bad opinion on it? It is optional that you can turn off for Christ's sake, so what gives? Well, some people feel that trophies have been leaned on as a crutch to compensate for things. Whether it's to pad out game time to be longer than it normally would be with stupid arbitrary hoops to jump through, which at the most technical level, it is kind of true, cause really at the end of the day, all a trophy and achievements are is a JPEG stating that hey, you did that specific action in this video game. Or they use it as a stand-in for a proper unlockable for your efforts. It's very true that some trophies can be really ridiculous to complete. One of the most tedious trophies I've ever had to collect was for Metal Gear Solid 4, specifically Sounds of the Battlefield. At first glance you think, well, it can't be too bad, just find all the music tracks in the game and it's over and done with. That would be an easy trophy in any other game. Well, to get all the music tracks for your iPod, you had to unlock the Snake Eater track by getting all 40 emblems in the game. And how do you get all 40 emblems? Well, you had to complete specific tasks. Yeah, essentially another trophy list to complete on top of the official trophy list. Wrap your mind around that one. And at the bare minimum, if you wanted to get all 40 as quickly and efficiently as possible, you had to beat this game at least 8 separate times, with one of them being the Big Boss Emblem Challenge. Beat the game without being seen once, and without killing anyone outside of the motorcycle chase sequence, all the while doing so on the highest difficulty. Sure, you could save at literally every level transition, but fuck me man, that is one trophy I would never go for again. I bet it took me a few days just to do this one emblem, just constantly restarting every time I'd get spotted, and they were so quick to spot you too, you'd think the game was rigged. For a game that was more cutscene than gameplay, that still took me a dedicated amount of time to pull off. So yeah, that says a lot about the Big Boss Challenge. Never again. Though to the game's credit, it did reward you handsomely for your efforts with good in-game unlockables. Sadly, I did feel like this was a problem for some games for a while, where some devs use trophies themselves as your reward for completing the challenges and checklist. Which, okay, yes, the journey can be the reward itself, especially if it's a really fun experience, but screw that mindset. Give me something for my efforts for playing your game fully, damn it. Don't you fucking hold out on me. A perfect example of in-game unlockables for your efforts in my opinion is the first 3D Mario games, since each of them showed to varying degrees how good and how bad this element can feel. Super Mario 64. If you 100% the game, Yoshi would give you 100 lives and an upgrade to the plumber's triple jump, so that he'll never get hurt from heights again. To be fair, I don't really like these kind of rewards where you only get one after you've seen and done everything, making it utterly useless. Now, if it let Mario use it on new playthroughs, that would have been nice. But, at least Mario 64 made the attempt, unlike this gem. Yeah, go fuck yourself too, game. Whereas Galaxy did it right by giving you Luigi to play as the next time you decided to play through it again. That was great. It made 100% in Galaxy that much more worth it in my opinion. So to see games go the Sunshine route and not really reward the player for their effort and potential struggles, yeah, that sucked. And when games did this, honestly, a trophy just tended to be not as interesting when it did happen. You mix the tediousness of some of these subjectives with the lack of a reward jumping through some of these ridiculous hoops can make a game in its own right feel like a slog to get through since all it is just pointless padding, which just hinders the experience in general. I guarantee if that's what the trophies are going to make the players feel like, then it can have the complete reverse effect trophies are trying to provide in the first place. Sadly, these two elements are what ended up breaking me and made me say I've had enough. I'm not going for them anymore. There was one specific game though that pushed that feeling over the edge, and that game was Assassin's Creed 3. This game, fuck me, it had some of the most tedious shit you had to go through to try and get everything done. First off, the optional objectives each main mission had. Not a bad idea in its own right, as it did provide more of a challenge. But I just love when they make sure to throw in that extra objective, making you have to do the other ones in the same attempt. Failed one? Well, restart from your last checkpoint and do it again. And all for what? More points to add to the sync bar? Who cares when it provided nothing for Connor gameplay-wise? Like, it didn't raise his health stats or anything like the original did. Or how about those homestead missions, where you had to pray RNG was on your side and it'd trigger that right event to happen, even though it liked to repeat ones you already fucking did. All the stupid hunting you had to do. I mean, I loved hunting in Red Dead Redemption, but how the hell did this game make me hate it so much? And hell, how about the one time the game did give you an upgrade you got for completing one of the main set of side objectives? In the Ezio trilogy, for going out of your way to do specific side quests, it'd reward you with the ultimate armor that wouldn't break on you like the armor of Altair, or some of those top tier weapons. What did Connor get? A ring that would sometimes deflect bullets, near the end of the fucking game. I got so burnt out trying to 100% this game that I got to about 80% and I just had to stop. And I didn't even get back to it until a few months later. I would never do that normally. If I had 80%, I was always committed to keep going until I finished, but I could just not bring myself to continue for a while. All that tedious crap and no reward for it. Sometimes I thought the game glitched out when I didn't get that trophy when I expected it to, only to find out that I overlooked a step or something, and that was always aggravating. By the end of things, it ended up souring my experience with Assassin's Creed 3, even to the point that it was easily my most hated game in the series until I got around to Unity. I mean, I really should go back and play it again someday without caring about the trophy list, and see if I'd have a better time the next time around. At the end of the day though, one can say that it's not the trophy's fault that you were so determined to go for them at the detriment of your enjoyment. Which, yeah, true, you would have a bit of a point. Still though, screw AC3 for being tedious to fully complete. What's not so easy to ignore though is when the developers get the bright idea to include trophies for a game's online competitive multiplayer. I really don't like it when developers do this. I mean, if the challenges are really easy, then okay, fine. I'd still prefer it if you left it well enough alone, guys. But if you're gonna include them in a multiplayer experience that isn't the full game, then I appreciate when it's not something ridiculous. Funny enough though, the example I bring up is bringing me back to the Assassin's Creed series once more. This time, Brotherhood. The first time the series tried to do competitive multiplayer. The main game itself, while a little too long for my liking on some of the objectives, it was still pretty doable at a decent effort. But of course, we've got multiplayer now, so you're damn right we're including a set of trophies to get too if you want that platinum. Oh my god. I hated having to get these trophies. Some of them weren't too bad, like making it to level 50 or getting a certain amount of points in a match. That was very doable. What wasn't though was some of the bonuses you had to get. In AC's multiplayer at the time, you'd get points for every successful assassination. But if you did the assassination in certain ways, like using a smoke bomb or doing an air kill, well, you'd get more points added on top of it. Well, the game required that you get every bonus at least once. And fuck me, man. I remember that one of them was being that you had to escape from 3 players trying to kill you at the exact same time. Trying to get that to happen naturally and legitimately was impossible. Even boosting for it with friends, it sometimes would just not fucking happen. Same went for that extreme variety bonus where you had to get at least 15 different bonuses in a match, which was just as hard, if not harder. Way I look at it, whenever you got a boost with friends to get a specific trophy, well then I think the devs really fucked up on the decision made for it, cause what's the fucking point then? Why am I gonna go out of my way to jump through these ridiculous set of hoops when it's basically impossible to do it naturally? I'm certainly not gonna feel accomplished when I finally do get it this way. No, it's more of a thank God I'm finally past that nonsense. You can tell Ubisoft knew they fucked up on Brotherhood in this regard, cause Revelations and 3 were nowhere near as hard as this. In fact, they were a breeze to accomplish. Well, that was until AC4 brought it back to being a pain. I mean, it was nowhere near as bad as Brotherhood was, but I clearly wasn't interested in leveling up to 55. I completed the single player experience in full and that was good enough for me. Thankfully, future games try to keep multiplayer trophies from being a requirement. Shout out to games like Uncharted 2 and 3 or Resident Evil 6 for doing this. This approach I'm definitely down for. The last point I want to bring up though about multiplayer trophies before I wrap things up is a point that is objectively a flaw when you compare it to single player or multiplayer trophies done right. Like I've and many others have hammered in, trophies are optional at the end of the day. You're actively choosing to jump through these optional hoops, and you're doing so in a way that's taking your skill and what the game throws at you into consideration. That's not the case when it comes to multiplayer trophies that want players to do specific things to get them. You could have the stars align. Everything you need to happen is happening, and you're finally gonna get that son of a bitch. But then right when you're about to get it, another player robs you of it, totally screwing up everything, forcing you to pray that you get another chance. This easily has to be one of the worst feelings you can have as a trophy hunter. You did everything right on your part, everything you could possibly do to secure it. Then a third party that's out of your control royally fucks it all up? That sucks so hard where I don't even want to play the rest of the day when that happens because I feel so defeated. Hell, sometimes you just won't get the chance to even attempt it. A perfect example of this is actually from the game I reviewed last episode, Resident Evil Resistance. There's a trophy titled Meddling Kids, and the objective is to kill a Mastermind's ultimate bioweapon 3 times in a match. Well, first off, Spencer doesn't even have one to kill, so you're fucked out of the gate with him. But even when you do go against the other 4 Masterminds, the chances of them spawning it 3 times in a match is slim to none, let alone given enough time and resources to actually finish it off. Not to mention they could just say fuck it and despawn it themselves. And keep in mind, a Mastermind is trying to kill you. Randoms are certainly not gonna just let you kill their trump card 3 times for free. I have no idea what the hell they were thinking on that one when they're so hard to kill in general. I mean, Christ, they even had some brain dead idea of thinking that it was a smart move to prevent players from going for trophies in custom games, so you can't even properly boost for it. Yeah, another great idea, Neobards. Straight up, pray you get a Mastermind willing to play ball and give you the trophy, because most probably won't. But say you're not a trophy hunter by any means, and are just trying to play in matches. Well, you're still potentially going to be affected by it because, like it or not, other players are probably going for them, and that can affect a match in different ways. In many cases, it's fine. In fact, it may lead to a free kill or something. But say it's one of your teammates trying to do these weird specific things, and they just completely ignore the real objective, putting you and your team in a bad spot to be picked off. That is so infuriating to me because one player's selfish actions can kill the match right then and there, where you feel like you just wasted your time. It's the main reason why I'm not a fan of multiplayer trophies. I mean, unless the game is straight up a multiplayer experience, then I just don't like having those kind of trophies if they're required to get a platinum. But hey, that's why I'm a former trophy hunter, I guess. But despite those grievances me and some other people have, I still do enjoy the concept of trophies and achievements. When it's done right, it can breathe more life into a game to make it an even better self-fulfilling experience. I might not go for them regularly anymore like I did at one point, Burnout being my reason for saying I'm out, but I do still have a deep respect for it and will still go for some platinums here and there. And for better or worse, it has become a standard for gaming. Well, mostly. I mean, Nintendo's still not doing them has actually been a bit of a blessing for me. But I can't deny the potential fun factor it can bring, as well as the creativeness and humor it can give as well. So yeah, that's kind of my quick look at trophies, me trying to play devil's advocate on the topic. It was actually really cool to re-experience some of these trophies, and I had a bit of fun going down memory lane. But really though, that's kind of all I have for you today, so until next time, you guys have a great day or night or whenever the hell you watch this, and I'll catch you next time.